Today we're on our comfy vibes.
Comfy vibes.
3, 2, 1. This is Run the Day with Rafe
And Tay.
We're runners, we're married, and now we've got a podcast. Why? Because we love running so much that we wanted to share it with you, our friends.
Today's topic is a casual topic.
A casual topic.
We're talking about running with your significant other.
Yeah, we went into our full comfy vibes here. Sitting on the couch, just kind of chilling,
Yeah.
not taking things too serious.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about today running with your significant other. And I think Tay and I...
We get that question a lot.
Tay and I get this question a lot. I guess if you count running together, it's been since 2013, technically.
Yeah.
So that is 10 years of running together.
And I think the most common question people ask us is, do you guys run together? Who's faster? They always ask these questions, which I just find so funny sometimes.
I think where I'd like to take this conversation today is that I think we can offer a unique perspective that I can speak on behalf, of a man's perspective. You could speak on behalf of a woman's perspective of running together. And I think also we could quickly touch on some maybe like tips or strategies so you can get your significant other involved with running. So if only one of you is a per se runner, I think we could come up with some good strategies for you of how to get the other one involved.
Yeah, I like that.
You like that? All right, so let's just start with, I'll ask you, from your perspective, let's talk about truly running together, like side by side.
Okay.
Do you like it? Do you not like it?
Okay, from my perspective, I like it when you join me on a run. Sometimes maybe I feel a little pressure that I have to keep up the pace, but I like it when we run together. I think it's nice. It's a change because usually we're running solo.
Yeah. Got that?
Yeah. Do you?
I do for some reasons, and I don't probably for more, to be honest with you. I like it sometimes. Because I think running with someone passes the time quicker, and obviously it's fun to get to spend that time with you. And I think I also like it for the perspective as a guy, at least for me, I feel protective of you when we're out there. I feel like I gotta always have my guard up. That's at least how I am. So I like it because I don't have to kind of worry. Like normally when I go on a run and, if I'm ahead of you, if I see some sketchy dude or something, I'll be like, yo, I just hope Tay my mind will run a little bit sometimes with things like that. So I like being next to you for that sake. In terms of what I don't like, I think sometimes running is my me time.
Yep.
And I think there's different intentions, different purposes per run, but sometimes running together I feel like is restricting me from that me time. But that's also because we're just two people who spend a ton of time together.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, both of our me time is running.
Yeah. And I feel like you, low-key, I'm surprised of your answer, because I feel like you, low-key, want it for yourself, too. So I almost feel like exclusively we both would prefer not to run with one another.
Yeah, but I like it once in a while. I think it's fun to run together and chit-chat. I like that. But it is also my me time as well. And I like to focus on the paces that I want to run. And usually when you run with me, you always say whatever pace you want to go. So I appreciate that.
So I think what we both do like is running, and what we do most of the time is we go out and run at the same time.
Yeah.
We're not running side by side, but we're both doing the same workout or whatever. And I think I like that. Yeah,
because then it kind of keeps us on the same page. Or, how did your workout go? How did your run go? And so it keeps us on the same schedule and talk about it after. So we still feel involved with one another.
Yep. So how did we get to this point, Tay? How did we get to this point of working out together? I mean, obviously we both did track and field in college. Yeah. So I think we're privileged for the fact that I think running is naturally both of our interests. So we would probably both be running right now if it wasn't for one another.
Yeah.
Which I think is obviously aids us in doing it. But let's think about in the perspective of other people and how do they maybe get to the point where they can run with their significant other. And it doesn't have to be every single day. But like, how do you get another one involved in the sport?
Well, I think you both have to agree that you want to do it, because if one person is really not into it, maybe it's better to find a different activity that you like to do together. Yeah. Maybe it's a morning walk or going to the gym together or something else that could work out like in your living room. Yeah. But if it is running and you both are maybe a little bit interested, I think that you both have to just be respectful of one another's abilities, your fitness in that time. And I think you both have to agree, like, are we running together because it's time for us to spend with one another? Or do we both just have the goal of want to run more? And you're going to support one another's goals of doing that. Because I think that's the way we look at it. Yeah. We both have a certain goal with running. And that's why we both go and we go outside at the same time and start a run, but we're not like physically next to one another. Yep. But the times we want to spend with one another, if we're like, oh, let's just go for like a nice easy run together, you'll like run with me at like my pace. I
can make the assumption that I feel like a lot of, and I totally agree with you, I think it has to be wanted by both people. But I think there is, when you're a runner, there is like a culture or community that goes with it. And I think it's why you see so many like memes and stuff out there. Like, all I want to do is talk about running. So I can imagine for someone who significant other or someone they spend a lot of time with is not a runner, you kind of feel like, you don't have that connection point with them. But I do feel like there's ways to get people involved. It doesn't have to be to the point that you're like, you're both running a marathon together. Yeah. But I often feel like sometimes for the majority of people I meet that don't like running, I feel like have often been, experienced it the wrong way. Right. I think the main thing is like running too fast. So all I'm saying is, if you're going to trial out getting your significant other to go on a run with you, I would not pump that thing like super fast, because like that's the easiest way to make them hate it. If someone sat in front of us and was like, guys, like I need to get, or I really want to try at least, again, you can't force anyone to do anything. But I want to try to get my significant other involved. My thought, if it was, a girl trying to get a guy involved, would be like, let's go on a slower run. Yeah. And let's have a good reward afterwards. So I'd be like, why don't we run to Ben and Jerry's? Why don't we run to a coffee shop?
Yeah, I think that I would suggest finding like a nice place to run. Like maybe there's a really nice lake and you can drive to it. And it might take more effort, but it will make the time together more enjoyable. And again, I think the key is to figure out what the intention is. So is the intention to spend more time together? Or do you both want to run and hit like certain paces, or just want to have a routine? Like, what's the intention? Because I think sometimes people wonder, like, do you run with your significant other like every day? Do you just like give them their own space, like have their own routine? I feel like there's a lot of different questions about it.
Yeah. If I didn't run and I, just speaking honestly, and you asked me to go on a run with you, one thing, I feel like every guy has like toxic masculinity to them that like it would eat inside of me for you to be beating me.
But I think you have to just be mature enough to like respect that we each have our own different skills. Like if this is something I do every single day.
I know. But I'm just speaking from a guy that, is naturally competitive. Even though it's not a competition, I know that's not the intention. But I'm just saying, if you're trying to get him to get into the sport of running, I'd say let him win. Let him win at a slower pace that he's going to feel confident about himself after finishing the run. You know what I mean? Sacrifice just one run, because no one wants to run slow. Yeah. But just sacrifice the one run, and then it might hook them a little bit.
Right. But if I want you to run with me, then I'm going to run a comfortable pace. That way you could run with me. Yeah. If that's my intention, I want to run together, then that's what I'm going to do.
I'm just saying, if you're trying to get a guy who doesn't love running to get into running, if we go out and run, your comfortable pace is still fast to me, and I'm struggling to keep up with you, I'm never going on a run again with you, because I feel like my self-esteem and my, like, again, the toxic masculine trait of like, I'm the strong one is like completely deflated after that.
I mean, I guess that just shows to just try to run comfortable, check in with how they're feeling. When you go for your run, ask them like, oh, how are you feeling about this pace? Listen to their breathing. Like, do they sound like they're struggling? You don't have to like actually ask them like, how are you feeling? If you are,
don't ask that.
Like if you're worried, but I mean, that's what I want to do. Like, oh, how are you feeling? Are you feeling good? Like, is this a good pace? Yeah. And then like, if you hear them like huffing and puffing, again, that's if your intention is to want to spend time together and run together. like actually next to each other. Or you can just say, let's both go out and run a mile, and you both just run on your own paces and you run your own distance, and you come back and you get to talk about it. And just like try to encourage each other to get out the door.
Yeah, which is nice. I think that's a benefit we've seen from being a running couple.
Yeah, it
right?
definitely helps
it's made
me.
us
Yeah.
goal oriented. It helps us keep one another accountable.
Yeah.
Someone else to like share progress with and wins and losses. And I feel like that helps connect us, of course.
Yeah, and talk about how your run went. Like if you didn't feel too good, I think it's nice to be able to bond about that. And we didn't have to run physically next to one another to do that.
I think that's why, like, you know, we're just trying to do our due diligence here to try to, I guess, you know, we both run together, and as long as it's not forced, I understand not everyone's going to share the same interest for running.
Right.
But I think if you could even get a little bit of it from both sides of a relationship, it does have benefits outside of just running or getting in shape to you guys.
Yes.
You know, like I think it benefits us as a couple.
I think so too. It's fun to like, you know, you can look at it as like exploring or different challenges to take on, and you get to both experience it together, but set your own goals and your own intentions. And it's something that you like, the work has to be done by yourself. I can't count on you to run the distance for me. Like we're both putting in our own work. So it is a nice way to both be working towards similar goals or different challenges, or, you know, if you're exploring something like a new state to run a race in.
And I think now is the season tapping into a dude's competitiveness.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know the statistic, but I would imagine the day that most people run in the country of the United States is the day of Thanksgiving or before, like turkey trots.
Yeah, those are so popular.
Those are around the corner, right? You're only like a month and a half out. So if you want to tap into his competitiveness, sign up for the turkey trot and just be like, yo, you're not beating me. You know, and that would light a fire in me. I'm going to smoke, like I'm going to train just to beat you.
Yeah, something really fun that we did last Thanksgiving, did like a turkey trot race relay.
And we smoked you guys.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was really fun. But that was, I don't know, that was just like a fun way to be active on Thanksgiving. But in general, fall in general, I think brings out all the runners. Like it's such a popular time to run. The moment it starts to get cooler out, so many people are out running. So it's also nice to be encouraged because you see more people out there, and they might be starting from scratch if you look at it that way.
So let's take in the perspective that you and I in a relationship, I'm a runner, you are not.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you've done sports, like, you know, you've danced, or, you know, you've played soccer, and now you kind of just like going to the gym, like keeping up with fitness. How do I get you involved?
With running?
With running.
Well, one, I think I have to have an interest a little bit in it. You can't force me to do something that I really have no interest in.
But I think, to not argue, but I think everyone has a little bit of an interest to, you know, get in the best physical shape that they can. And running is just, that's like a core to any of that. I think even like big bodybuilders, you know what I mean, who look nice, whatever, what is it called? Like aesthetically? That's what I meant. They have to run, and I know they hate it. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. So I guess just making sure that I am a little bit interested in what running can bring me, or the benefits, right? Like that would appeal me to do it.
So just come with like a PowerPoint. Like, hey, if you go on these runs with me, this is what happens. I
mean, it could be different reasons. It could be we'd spend more time together, or I think that you would really feel less stressed, or I think you'd sleep better if you ran. I think it would change up your workout routine. You know, you might be a little bit bored what you're doing right now. It's fall and it's beautiful. Like it's such a beautiful weather to run. It's a nice day, a great way to spend outside. It's really fun. I've been signing up for races, like just like different reasons of what I could benefit from running. And then to actually get me out the door again, I think it would have to be like you would run with me and it wouldn't run too fast and just make me feel comfortable.
Okay. I wonder.
Yeah.
If again, now being the season.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you know, from your perspective, or you thinking on behalf of mine, if we were just like, you know, one Saturday or Sunday morning, like let's go to this local coffee shop, let's get a coffee, and knowing that there's like a road race, do you think sometimes watching people do it kind of makes you think like, oh, I kind of want to do it?
Yeah, well, I think that what inspired you to want to get into longer distance running, we were just doing 5K races or just running casually, was after you watch the Boston Marathon, you're like, Tay, I need to do a marathon. Like that is my goal one day, to run Boston. Yeah. So when you said that, you're like, I got to sign up for a half marathon. And I was like, if you're going to sign up for a half marathon, FOMO, like I do not want to be left out. So I signed up with you and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know if I could do that. Yeah. But that's kind of what got me to do it, because you were like, hey, I'm signing up for a half. Like, I'm going to train for it. I'm going to look into all this stuff. Like, because eventually I want to run a marathon. So you committing to that, like, inspired me to be like, I can't miss out on this, like, adventure that you're about to take on. Because I know, like, once you started getting into it, I'd be like, oh, like, that looks really fun. Yeah. Or maybe just I want to join you on the journey, which I'm so glad that you initiated that, because, now that we're about to run our third half marathon in this month. So I don't know, I think watching or seeing races, for sure, that can definitely inspire you.
I think that's what I want. I think that's what we want for everyone that listens. Again, prefacing of like, you can't force anyone to do anything. But from Tay and I's perspective, it's been really fun, just a little bit, like, I guess close to a year and a half of just accomplishing things together that we never thought we could. Like, we ran our first half marathon together, which was a distance I know neither one of us thought we could ever run.
No, that was my first time ever running that distance.
Yeah, for both of us. And I think we were pretty elated afterwards of just being like, wow, like, this is so cool. And with anything in life, I think sharing moments with other people just makes it even greater. Right. I guess maybe I'm naive, but I feel like maybe this is a hot take. I think you could get anyone interested in running. I really do. I really think if you develop the right kind of introduction, that anyone can get hooked to it. I mean, and that's what you're seeing in the past few years, is this like boom of run culture. Like, how many running creators are on freaking Instagram right now?
Yeah, or how many people were able to qualify for Boston Marathon 2024?
Exactly, because I think people found it in the pandemic. And if running wasn't for everyone, then all those people would have dropped off. But they're still doing it, because I think once you get hooked, you never get off of it.
Yeah, you find the benefit.
Yeah. But you need to be introduced the right way.
Yep, I agree with that.
That's what I'm saying. You ease it in, right? You don't go out too hard in your first run and just in general. Yeah. You can't force it. It's got to be kind of like a slow transition. I mean, it's taken us, 5 years to really get into distance running. Because I mean, we had the Nike Run Club app, and we were doing these workouts here and there and doing so many things wrong. But anyway, we were running, but I was never interested in it. And I think the only thing that changed it, which I know I bring up all the time, was signing up for a race. Yeah. And doing that first half marathon.
Yeah, because I think that we enjoyed running so much, in the Nike running app like provides so many different workouts, which is really fun. So provided like speed workouts, interval workouts. They even have like your first long run workout. They have all these different things. So what kind of kept us going was signing up for 5K races and things like that. But once you watch the Boston Marathon, that really triggered the interest to run a longer distance and sign up for a half marathon, which got me to be inspired to do it too.
Yeah. So maybe what would you do if, like, again, I was running, you were not. And one day I was just like, hey, I signed us both up for a half marathon. And like,
well, that's very aggressive. I feel like you didn't even like tell me or talk about it.
Like, you're just doing it. Like, you're signed up.
I think actually the most important thing is to talk about it.
No, I know.
I mean, me witnessing you say, like, hey, like, I watched the Boston Marathon. I'm going to sign up for a half so I can get to being able to eventually run a marathon one day. Now we're just hooked on running these like half marathons to try to run it like faster and faster. But after our second one we did, I was like, I need to run one more half marathon. And I was like, I'm going to sign up for one. And then you're like, okay, fine, I'll do it too. So, it's kind of like I took the initiative with the one we're about to do now. I'm like, I need to do one more at least. Like, I need to do like third time's a charm, Yeah. And you weren't sure if you were going to do the half. Yep. Like, I've done two and I'm happy with how I did with both of them. But I kind of took initiative to do it, and you're like, okay, I'll do it. So we didn't force each other to do any of them.
No. And I think that it's not about forcing.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You don't force. Exactly. Yeah. But just by my own interest or your own interest that inspired one another to do it.
Can I add one more thing that I think would work for a guy?
Okay.
Actually, a guy or girl, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
And I think that this was part of it because it came out around the time of the pandemic, I believe, but it's the David Goggins book. Ooh. I think that got a lot of people into running.
Yeah.
I really think it did.
Yeah.
And again, you could just slip that in there, regardless if your significant other takes up the sport after reading it. It's a fantastic book to read.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like you read it and you're just like, damn, like maybe I could do this running thing. And like,
yeah, because if you don't know the book, he started from being extremely overweight, out of shape, no goals, not driven, and he completely changed his whole entire life. And he is like an insane like endurance ultra athlete. Which is really cool. So I think that did spark a lot of interest in running. I was going to say something else. Oh, you know what else? I think certain things like, again, during like the pandemic time, 2020, Peloton, their treadmill workouts, people fell in love with the trainers and thought they were really cool. Yeah. And they offered that. So it kind of made it entertaining.
Yeah.
So just finding different ways to be interested in running, whether it's, we like to run outside. Find more benefit in it than running indoors, but that sparked a lot of interest as well, I would think.
Yeah.
I saw a question on Reddit actually a little bit about this topic.
Yeah.
And someone was asking, when you sign up for a race together with your significant other, do you run together or do you go after your own goals? And I saw a lot of different answers. And the most common answer, which I thought was pretty common, was to obviously talk to one another and see what your intention is of the race. Are you trying to run your best time? Are you looking for this as a challenge to help motivate one another and get through it? And I thought about us, how we have never ran a race side by side together. So I find that kind of interesting how some people, I could think about like my sister and brother-in-law, how they will run together until the very last 100 meters of the race. And then it's like game on, who's going to get there first. But
I have my own take on that.
Yeah, I was curious to see what you think and what you would tell this person who's looking for advice.
I personally think each person should have their own respective goals. And I think when you're starting out with running, the goal likely should be completion. Maybe less than time, because a lot of people are going to be like, I don't know what I can run. I have no clue.
Yeah.
But I say that because I think if you go in, although I think it's awesome to motivate one another side by side, I think you could still get that same effect by, being on the starting line together or being in the same race at the same time. I think that still comes to fruition, and whoever finishes first, the other person knows that they're there waiting for them. So I think that motivation still kicks in. But the reason I say separate goals is because I think one person is going to have to sacrifice naturally when you're running side by side. And I believe that doesn't make it as fulfilling to finish.
Yeah.
And that might be something that whichever person sacrifices will never vocalize out loud, but I think it will always be something that they feel. Not that you'd resent the other person for it, but if your intention is to really test your body and to get into this sport, I don't think that's the best way to do it, personally.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it depends on the intention of running the race. If you're doing, a fun run where, they do the color runs or something like that, I think that's cool to do it together, and you may run it and...
If it's like an experiential
Yes, exactly.
race.
But I think it's something you need to communicate about and discuss what your goals are and your intentions. Is this something we want to experience together? Are you running a race where the views are amazing and you want to take pictures while you're running? Some people do that. Or are you both trying to see what you can do? And if that's the case, whether it's time, completion, something that you should both think about running individually, but being there to support one another. And that comes with part 2 question, which I think is related to our topic overall. Say you have a significant other that does not run, but you're signed up for races. How do you get the other person to be involved? So starting from every day when you wake up in the morning and you go for a run, your significant other may not be going for a run. They're maybe still sleeping or they're doing something else. you're training for your race is coming up. How do you get the other person to feel involved, and how do you spend time together?
There's a lot of verticals to running that aren't running itself. So if you feel left out, that there's any like group activities or coming with people you run with, I mean, if everyone's getting a beer after you, like, there's no reason the person who didn't run, your partner, can't come and get a beer with you. If you feel left out of just being, distance from that person's life, and like feel like, they're putting investing a lot of time into an activity you're not a part of, then I think, if you're doing your long runs on Saturdays, like, just tell them, like, go to a place that is like pedestrian and cyclist friendly, and like have them bike next to you as you run. That's like something that I feel like is really attainable. Or
if you just like go for a run around a lake, tell them to go for a walk around the lake, and when you both finish, you get to, like, maybe you get to walk around together a little bit after. Like, I like what you're saying, like, get them involved during the time that you're doing. Or if you run on the treadmill at the gym, encourage them maybe to go to the same gym as you.
Yeah.
And then I think when it comes to the race day, I think maybe just like telling them how like much it would be like how great it would feel to see them at like certain checkpoints of the run. I mean, that's my favorite part of like when you see like family and friends at a certain checkpoint. That's like the best feeling. Or at the end of the race, like, they're going to be there for you. So telling them like, hey, if you could like be at that checkpoint for me, like, that would help me so much. And that would, I think, make them feel very involved.
Yeah. I think they're like in that setting is like super important.
Yeah.
Like the impact that has on every runner, like hearing from someone you love or care about is huge.
Yeah, cheer for you.
And I think, to your point, like expressing not only to them beforehand, before the race, like, hey, it would mean a lot, if you did that, but afterwards of being like, hey, I could not have done this race if it wasn't for you. And I think that naturally makes someone feel involved and like want to come,
Yeah. I love that.
I think about like my mom and my brother, like that's what I always tell them. And I mean it every time. And I think a lot of runners do.
Yes.
Like without you at this point, like, because your mind really does quit before your body does. And like hearing someone, like it's like a trigger.
Yeah. It really helps you feel like supported and encouraged. And I think it makes other people feel involved even though they're not runners.
Yeah.
That was a good question. Thank you for submitting questions.
Thank you. So anyway, this is a quick, casual, comfortable episode. So we hope you like this, just more, I guess, conversational rather than being so structured and following said script or whatever. So, but anyway, regardless of all that, we appreciate you guys listening. We believe in you.
We believe in you.
And Tay, take it away.
Go run the day. Don't let the day run you.
And guys, before we end this, now that I remember,
real quick,
Tay always says this: submit your questions. It's the fuel of the podcast.
Yes.
To take Tay's line. And truthfully, we need the questions because that's how we want to structure this, is that it's easy for us to get in front of a camera, I guess, and just talk about running, and we can make 1,000 episodes doing this. But that's not the core intention of what we wanted this to be about. We wanted all this to be about helping individuals and like bridging this gap of getting people into a world of fitness and really learning to enjoy it and how to do it with other people, with your significant other. And like, there's so many layers and complex thoughts behind all of this, but all of that is fueled by what people who are listening want to hear about. So that's what we want to create. We want to create what people want to hear.
Yes, that way you can enjoy it and take something away from it. And that way you can run the day.
So check the show notes of the episode. It's always in our YouTube description. It's in our link in bio on our Instagram. Just submit a question. It takes like 5 seconds. And who knows, your question could help someone else out there too.
Yeah, they may have the same question as you.
So that's all for today.
Thank you for listening.
See you, motherfucker.